Hi Year 4, I hope you're all okay. Welcome to Thursday's maths lesson. Today we're going to be looking at decimals again, but we're going to be looking at hundredths this time. So I thought we would start off with a little multiplication calculation starter just to get us going. So if you want to pause the video now and have a go, if not, you can work through with me. So pause the video now and welcome back if you have paused the video. Otherwise, let's work through this together. So 7 times 4, so I need my 7 times table knowledge here. I know that 7 times 4 is equal to 28. That's done, easy peasy. Now I've got 70 times 40 here, so that looks a little bit harder, but I can use my knowledge knowing that 7 times 4 is equal to 28. And I know that 70 times 40 is equal to 2,800. Because I have got tens here, and I know that I need to add 2 zeros onto my answer here. Okay, so my knowledge from the first calculation has helped me solve the second one when it could have been a little bit tricky. Now let's have a look at this one down the bottom. So at first we've got 6 times 457, but it's split into boxes here just to make things a little bit more simple for us. So we know that 6 times 4 is equal to 24, but remember it's 400, okay? So it's actually going to be 6 times 400 is equal to 2,400. And then we have got 6 times 5, which is equal to 30, but we're doing 6 times 50 here, so we need to remember to add on a 0. So it's 6 times 50 is equal to 300. And then we've got 6 times 7, which again, you can use your 6 times table or your 7 times table to help you here, and that is 42. So then we just need to make sure that we are adding up the answers to those multiplications that we've just done so that we get the total, because all of these numbers are equal to our answer. So let's just make sure that we are adding those up. Okay, so I've got 2 in my ones, that's the only one I've got in my ones. And again, I've got 4, so 0 add 4 is 4. And then in my hundreds, I've got 400 add 300, so 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be 700, so put that in my hundreds column. And then I'm left with the 2,000. So I've got 2,742. And lastly, I have got this multiplication here. So 4 times 1 is equal to 4. And then I have got 4 times 6, 60. So I've got 4 times 60. Now it's sometimes quite easy to forget that we are adding, timesing something that is in the tens column, okay? So 4 times 60 is going to be equal to 240. So let me write that here. So I've got 200 in my hundreds, 40 in my tens, and then I would have a 0 in my ones because it's 40, so I can leave my 4 there. And then I've got 4 times 5, but remember it's 4 times 500. Now 4 times 5 is equal to 20, but I'm doing 4 times 500, so that is going to be equal to 2,000. So I've got 2,244 as my answer. So well done if you got all of those correct. Okay, so our can I for today is, can I understand what a hundredth is? Okay, so we're going to be looking at even smaller units. Okay, so this represents 1. Okay, so this cube here represents our whole, and this represents a tenth of our whole. So this represents 1 slice. There we go, so we've got 1 slice of our whole there. And this represents 1/10. So I'm just going to write that as a fraction and also a decimal. Now, I've kind of already given you a clue, but this represents a hundredth. So, in each of these tenths, we have got a hundredth. So one of these. And you would write a hundredth like this if it was a fraction. We're going to move on to how you would write it as a decimal in just a moment. So can you see the units that we have, they are getting smaller. Okay, so the amounts are smaller. So we've got our whole here and our tenth, and then our hundredth is only a very small part of our whole. So let's go on and have a look and see how we would write that as a fraction. So have a go at popping these in the correct columns based on what we've just said. Pause the video if you want to have a go on your own. Otherwise, you can have a go with me now. So here we have got our whole number. Okay, and remember how we say whole numbers, they go to the left of the decimal point. So that's going to go in our ones column. Okay, so we've got one whole here. And here we have got a tenth, which is just 1/10 of our whole number, which is here. And then here we are left with a hundredth. Okay, and we've only got one of these hundredths here. Okay, and you may notice that there are 10 of these hundredths in one of the tenths. So although the amount gets smaller, it sounds as if we are talking about bigger numbers. But one way you could think about it is, we've got tenths here, hundredths, thousands, and this just means that this is the amount of parts that are making a whole. Okay, so that is why they are getting smaller and smaller, because only 10 tenths can make a whole. And then as you move to the right with your place value, you need more of these things to make your whole. So it goes to hundredths, thousands. And we would put our hundredths in the hundredths column here. So let's have a look at writing this as a decimal. Again, pause the video if you would like to have a go on your own. Otherwise, you can continue with me now. So we can see from here that there is nothing in our ones column. We don't have any whole numbers here. We have got 1/10, so we would write that as 1/10, and we have got 3 hundredths here. So we're going to write that as 3. We're not going to write it as 300 because we only need to write one number in this column. Okay, and we have only got 3 hundredths, which is 3 parts of a tenth. Okay, so we have got 0.3, and that is how we would write this here. We have got 0.13 here, my mistake, 0.13. Okay, so let's have a look and see what else we have. So we've got something slightly different here. Again, pause the video if you would like to have a go. But here we have got one whole, so we're going to write 1 point. We have got 2 tenths here, so I need to write a 2 in my tenths column. And we have got 100. So we would read that as 1.21. So we have got one whole number, and then we have got 0.21 of another whole number. Okay, so one whole, and this is how much we have of another whole. Okay, now we're going to compare. So let's have a little go at comparing. Have a go on your own, otherwise again work through it with me. But first let's have a go at counting our hundredths. So we've got our hundredths here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's just write that as a fraction. I'm just going to write it up here. We have got 10 100ths here. And what have we got on this side? We know we've got 1/10. We recognise that as 1/10. Now I wonder if you notice something about these fractions. Can you work out if they could be equivalent? Well, let's have a look down here. Now we know if we've got an equivalent fraction, we can either times something to make it equivalent or we can divide it. So let's have a go at these ones here. Now I've noticed that with these numbers, you can times the numerator and the denominator both by 10, and this is the answer that we're given. So we know that these fractions are equivalent. And we can also see that 10 of these hundredths fit into one of these tenths. So it would be equal. They're just broken up here to be equal. Okay, so they are equivalent to each other. So this is where looking at equivalent fractions comes in handy. Now here we've got 0.04 and 0.07. So 0.04 here. And we could draw those out, so we could go 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's have a go at writing this out. 0.07. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we can already see that 0.07 is actually a bigger number. So we would write the more than sign in here, okay? Because we wouldn't need many more hundredths to get us to 1/10 either. Okay.
Hi everybody, sorry if there's been a bit of change of scenery. I had some technical issues at home, so I'm having to record the other section at school. So we here have got fractions, decimals, words and pictures that are relating to tenths and hundredths. Also fractions as well. And what I would like you to do is I would like you to put the words, fractions, decimals and draw the pictures of the relevant words, fractions or decimals. So for example, 0.25, that would be this one here as a decimal. And you need to find the appropriate fraction and the right picture, okay? Don't worry too much about getting the appropriate fraction for these ones because this is something that we're still exploring, but have a go at drawing the pictures, okay? So if you can make sure that these are all jumbled up, so put them under the right headings, and obviously you want to put them next to, if they've also got a decimal, put them next to the right decimal, and we will come back and have a look together, okay? Okay, so I filled mine in here, so hopefully this is what you will have ended up with. If you needed to just have a little quick look at how it's arranged to have a go at the activity, then go back to where it was all jumbled up and try and pop it into the right place. So hopefully you've written the words, maybe had to go at fractions, but don't worry about those too much at this point. Had a go at the decimals and put the pictures as well. So hopefully you've had a chance to draw the pictures, but this is what it should look like. Now your worksheet, you will have chance to do the same on your worksheet, okay? So you will be doing what you did with tenths and connecting the, it'll either be words to a fraction, decimal or picture, okay? And you'll have to connect it through to show what the equivalents are. So how it's said in words, how it is said within a fraction, and how it is represented within a decimals or pictures, okay? So I hope you get on okay with that. Any questions, please feel free to email. And